Fear of intimacy is a thing that many people deal with in relationships, not just men. So how do you know if you have a fear of intimacy? And if you do, how do you overcome it? Hi, I'm Lucy Goldman from LoveLearnings. I'm a commitment expert and dating coach, so I know a thing or two about fear of intimacy. I know that it can be so paralyzing that you're unable to form a happy relationship, but I know it can also be very subtle, dwelling in the background until it suddenly shows up and makes dating impossible. So what exactly is fear of intimacy? It isn't necessarily that you completely avoid all forms of intimacy. In fact, many people that fear intimacy actually long for that closeness, but always end up pushing people away and sabotaging your relationships. Put simply, fear of intimacy is the fear of being swallowed up by a relationship. It's the fear that you'll get too close to someone else and lose a bit of yourself in the process. The thing about fear of intimacy is that it doesn't always look the same. It manifests in different ways. Here are some ways that fear of intimacy may be manifesting in your life. 1. You're going for unavailable guys. This is a very common and very sneaky way to satisfy your fear of intimacy. You may only go for guys who are way out of your league, are already in a relationship, aren't interested in dating, are gay, or don't even know you exist. Whatever his specific situation, you can bet that he's not going to be interested in you for very long, if at all. And by continuing to pine for him rather than an available guy, you guarantee that you won't have to worry about anyone getting too close to you. 2. A my way or the highway approach. I'm talking to all you control freaks out there. If you value staying in control of a situation above all else, you may be masking a fear of intimacy. This is for all the women who are ready to call off a date, dump a guy, or otherwise back away the moment anything negative happens in the relationship. This fixation on control will guarantee that the only kind of guy you'll be able to land will be one who is afraid of you and unwilling to challenge anything you do or say. While you may end up in a relationship, you'll find that it's unsatisfying and not as close as you'd like. This is because since you're the one calling all the shots, you're not really in a relationship with anyone but yourself. 3. Hopping from one relationship to the next. If your relationships keep ending before you ever learn his middle name, then you may be using short-term relationships to avoid any real intimacy because you're scared. I will say that there's nothing wrong with short-term and casual dating, but if you find it becoming a pattern that you'd like to escape, you need to look at it in the face and face the truth. You have a fear of intimacy. 4. An inability to talk about your feelings. Intimacy isn't just about sex or closeness. It also means sharing your innermost feelings with another person. This can be difficult and scary, but it can also be rewarding, and it's really the only way to truly get close to another person. If you find that you keep a lot to yourself and find it very hard to put your walls down and let someone in, this has more to do with your fear of intimacy than anything else. 5. Having one foot out the door. This is a way that you can keep yourself safe from emotional harm, but at the cost of avoiding intimacy. If you consistently fantasize about other relationships, other ways of living your life, or how you could leave your boyfriend and fly halfway around the world, then chances are this is a coping strategy to avoid intimacy. 6. The inability to get close. The classic sign of fear of intimacy is the inability to really connect with another person, whether it's physically, emotionally, or spiritually. If you keep people at a distance, then feel bad that the relationship isn't as fulfilling as you want, this might be you. So now that you've identified your fear of intimacy, how do you overcome it? I have good news. Recognizing you have this fear is actually the first step to getting over it. You should know that getting over a fear of intimacy isn't a straightforward process. You won't just wake up one day and find that it's completely disappeared. The best you can hope for is a slow progress and limited setbacks. One approach you can try is actually pretty counterintuitive. You need to take it slow. If you set the pace of the relationship, you find that having the control and agency will be calming and reassuring. Since you know that you can always take a step back if need be, you'll have the confidence to push yourself further than you thought possible. Another practice I recommend is to think back to things in past relationships that have triggered your fear of intimacy. Think about why this might have been the case and explore your feelings around it. If you can recognize those triggers, when they come up again, you'll notice that they no longer have power over you. The truth is that getting over this fear is going to take time, and it's going to take work on your part. Be generous with yourself, but also know when to push yourself out of your comfort zone. One way to do this is to focus on being emotionally present as much as possible. Those who fear intimacy tend to shut down certain situations and get into their own head. Sometimes they'll literally keep physical distance from the person they're with to try to protect themselves. If this sounds like you really need to focus on being present. Being emotionally present means not disengaging when things get hard, refusing to hide your feelings just to avoid upsetting yourself or others, and living in the moment with your partner as much as possible. You may find this difficult at first, but like everything, it gets easier the more you do it. Another option I recommend if you're struggling with the fear of intimacy is to consider opening up to your partner about it. I know that this is a difficult conversation to have, especially for those of us with the fear of intimacy, because it requires a great deal of vulnerability. But think of it from his perspective. If you're acting cagey, running hot and cold, and struggling to connect with him, he's not going to be very happy in the relationship. If he has no idea that you have this fear, then he might take it personally or think that you're just not interested. If you can take this difficult step and open up to him, then it will assuage some of his fears and worries about the relationship. If you're really struggling getting close to another person, I recommend therapy or counseling to look at the underlying problems at play. Oftentimes, fear of intimacy can be linked to problems in childhood. Maybe your parents didn't model a healthy relationship for you to base yours on. Maybe you didn't get love the way you wanted, and so you're struggling to accept it now that you're grown up. In any case, a licensed counselor can be extremely helpful getting to the bottom of your fear of intimacy. So don't be afraid to check one out. On top of that, building a relationship with your counselor will help you work on your fear of intimacy. Think it like practice for your other relationships. That about does it for today, folks. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for new videos every week.